Hello, students, and welcome to a science lesson where we'll be studying about ionic and covalent bonds. Chemical bonds, that is, when elements join together and they form compounds, bonds are formed. These bonds are either called ionic bonds or covalent bonds. Now, before we study about bonds, we have to know the structure of the atom. The atom has the K, L, M, N shells where they have electrons. Now, the first shell, if two valence electrons are completed, it is said to be in duplet condition. And the next shell, if it has 8 valence electrons, then it is said to be in octet condition. So the K shell has to be in duplet condition, the L shell has to be in octet condition to be stable. Now, this is the atom of sodium, the K shell having 2 valence electrons in duplet condition, the L shell having 8 electrons in octet condition, and the last shell having 1 electron. So the atomic number of sodium is 11. The electronic configuration is 281, and because it has 1 in the outermost shell, it is said to have a valency of 1. On the other hand, we have chlorine. The atomic number of chlorine is 17, and so the electronic configuration is 2, 8, and 7. So 7 is the last shell, 7 valence electrons, valency is 1. So now we can see what happens here. Okay, sodium and chlorine come together. There is an energy which makes that one electron from sodium go to the chlorine atom and form a bond. Okay, and then we have sodium, which is positive, and chlorine, which becomes negative. Now, due to the electrostatic force of attraction between opposite charges, the oppositely charged ions, that is sodium and chlorine, get attracted to each other and a bond is formed between them. Now, this type of a bond where one electron goes to the other atom and the other atom accepts this electron, thus forming a bond, is known as an ionic bond. Now, you can see here also sodium giving that electron to chlorine, thus forming an ionic bond. Because of that, sodium now, because it has released one negative electron, it becomes positive, and chlorine has accepted a negative electron, so it will be Cl minus. Now, the chemical bond formed due to an electrostatic force of attraction between the oppositely charged cation. When it is positive ion, it is called a cation, and an anion, that is chlorine negative, is called an ionic or an electrovalent bond. This is the ionic bonding, Na giving that one electron to chlorine and forming an ionic bond. Now, when elements sodium and chlorine combine, an atom of sodium gives its valence electron to chlorine, whereby Na plus and anion Cl minus are formed. This is another picture of the same thing. Yeah, sodium giving an electron to chlorine and sodium forming a positive cation, chlorine forming a negative anion. This is the entire picture. One electron going to chlorine atom. Okay, there are opposite charges formed over here. Sodium becomes positive, chlorine becomes negative, and then there is a formation of an ionic compound where the positive and negative charge, they negate one another, and we only get an ionic compound. No minus, no plus, NaCl. Now we have the other type of bond. You can see here, this is atom of hydrogen. Hydrogen atomic number is 1. So there is only 1 in the outermost shell. Okay. So they cannot stay 1 1. They have to become stable. So they share electrons One hydrogen shares with the other, and so they form a bond here and they form the hydrogen molecule. This is how it is formed, by sharing of electrons, not giving and taking. Okay, see the hydrogen coming together to form the hydrogen molecule. Now, this kind of bond is formed when atoms of two elements having similar properties combine, and this is called a covalent bond. Now, what we seen previously is the giving and taking of electrons, and here we see the sharing of electrons to become stable. And this type of a bond where we share electrons is called a covalent bond. Here you see again a covalent bond is formed here. A hydrogen atom contains one electron. Its duplet is short of one electron, and therefore the valency of hydrogen is 1. The two atoms of hydrogen are identical. They have similar tendency, and therefore they share their 1 electron, and they become 2 and form a duplet. Okay, this is called covalent bonding. See, where the electrons are not given and taken, but they are shared. Okay. Now, the chemical bond formed by sharing of valence electrons of two atoms with each other is called a covalent bond. A covalent bond between two atoms is also represented by a dash joining their symbol. See here we have carbon. Valency of carbon is 4. Valency of hydrogen is 1. So one hydrogen atom, second one, third one, fourth one. And so now hydrogen gets 2, satisfies its duplet everywhere, and carbon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 satisfies its octet, and they become stable. Okay, and this is how a covalent bond is shown, by a dash. A dash means one electron on this side and one electron on the other side is being shared. Okay, so this similar structure can be shown like this using covalent bonds. We also have covalent bonds here. You can see oxygen 6 electrons in the outermost, so they need 2 more, and that will be satisfied by H and another H. So now we get H2O. H satisfies its duplet, oxygen satisfies its octet. Okay, so there are 6 electrons in the valence shell of oxygen. So the electron octet in oxygen is short of 2 electrons, and the valency of oxygen is 2. Okay, so you see the bonding taking place here. In the H2O or water molecule, the oxygen atom completes its octet by forming two covalent bonds, one each with the two hydrogen atoms. While this happens, the duplet of the two hydrogen atoms are also completed, and we get a covalent compound formed by covalent bonds. Let us revise, match the columns. Okay, define covalent bond and ionic bond.